Hey, I'm Karen from Two Mediums, One Large Universe. And in this episode, we are going to speak about conspiracy theories. Take it away.
Hi, and I'm Bev from Two Mediums, One Large Universe. Thank you, Karen. I love your magnifying glass. Karen, we're looking at conspiracy theories this week, and there's so many out there. This could be a block of episodes, really, rather than just one. So obviously, we've just had to condense it. Now, I took a look at the ones that really focus upon the music industry and strange conspiracy theories surrounding events. So this week we'll be looking in particular at something called backmasking. And this is where songs have been recorded normally as an album, and either intentionally or non-intentionally, there's been hidden messages when these songs have been played in reverse. And this is called backmasking. Now, there are a few famous groups that have done this on purpose. They've slipped little messages into the reverse of their records, but there are some that claim not to be, and these are the ones we're interested in. So without further ado, I'll give you some examples. Karen, do you like the Beatles?
Sure, they're fine.
Do you know what? I've got a story about the Beatles, nothing to do with backmasking, but I have to tell you this because I kind of have this thing about the Beatles. I love their music, but my mum told me when she was in labour for me, which apparently was 36 hours of screaming. When she was giving birth to me, there was a radio on in the ward wherever she was giving birth. And at the time she was obviously giving birth to me, the Beatles song Help was playing. How
Perfect.
Cool is that? How cool is that? So yeah, I've got a bit of a soft spot with it. That was the first ever song I've ever heard. I've never thought about it like that, but maybe that makes me a super fan. Anyway, going back to the Beatles, there's a claim that Paul McCartney of the Beatles actually died in a car accident in 1966 and was replaced by a lookalike. And this is a really, really well-known conspiracy theory. And according to people who are proponents of this theory, there was a heated session when they were recording Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. They had a bit of a row, a ding-dong. And McCartney stormed out. And he drove off in his Austin Healey and allegedly crashed it and was decapitated and died in the crash. And he was also allegedly replaced by somebody called William Shears Campbell, who was a Paul McCartney lookalike. And there's apparently lots of clues hidden within the records of the Beatles when played backwards. So for conspiracy theorists, there's loads to get going on this. So I'm just going to deep dive and let you know what I know.
Okay.
Revolution 9, when played backwards, the listeners here Turn Me On, Dead Man. And you can actually, Karen, you can go onto YouTube and you can play songs in reverse. So you could say Revolution 9, play it in reverse, and you'll hear these. I spent what seemed like hours listening to these backmasked songs. Yeah, it's undeniable. There's words that you can clearly hear. And it also reports this phrase, played backwards, that says, Paul is dead, miss him, which fans believe was due to this secret death of Paul McCartney. So adding to the intrigue, there was a couple of car accidents within the time period, which conspiracy theories argue were misreported or fabricated to cover up his death. And there's also confusion involving associates of the Beatles further meddling to support this narrative. So lots of denials from the Beatles camp, and totally assert that Paul McCartney did not die in 1966. The band members and their representatives have occasionally played along with the speculations, and I think possibly used it to promote some of their records because it's caused a bit of intrigue. It's definitely a conspiracy theory. Whether it has any merit or weight, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what you think, what the general public think. But those records definitely do have this backmasking with these words in and this link. There's lots of different theories around it. It's really, really deep. As I say, I've only condensed the bits about the music. What are your thoughts, Karen?
I just don't buy it. But yeah, I can see how people want to just, pull apart things like that because they love the band and they just want anything just to find something to cling on to because they said that John Lennon was executed by the CIA that they hired.
Yeah,
I heard that too.
Yeah, it is like you say, people. But I think the thing that got me with this, as opposed to some of the other stories, is how intricate the plot is. The car accident, the fact that there was a lookalike, all these different intricacies woven into it. It's definitely a conspiracy theory that there's been a lot of meat added to it. So I, like you, I'm still skeptical. There's not enough for me to point in favor of it.
And then what about his wife too?
Well, the thing is, he would have been just a young guy when he died, wouldn't he? So the theory is the person that who would have stepped into his shoes, the person who is Paul McCartney now, has had a very comfortable life out of it, and he's written some really good songs. So go figure. But it doesn't change the fact that the Beatles were incredibly successful. Anyway, the next one I looked at was another song when played backwards using this backmasking technique, was Hotel California by the Eagles. So it's got this information embedded within it, this secret message that says, and I've heard this, I've listened to this back, Satan, he hears this. He had me believe. So yeah, that's one of the things. So, the theory is, was Satan, the ruler of hell, interested in helping the Eagles make their album a success? I don't know. Then it brings you to the one that really shocked me a little bit, was Stairway to Heaven. Stairway to Heaven sounds beautiful. I listen to it, it's such a melodic song, isn't it? However, when you listen to Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven backwards, you hear something quite different. It says, "Oh, here's to my sweet Satan, the one whose little path would make me sad, whose power is the Satan. He will give those with him 666. There was a little tool shed where he made us suffer. Sad Satan, sad Satan." And I've heard this. I've played it backwards. Karen, you must do it. And it's undeniable. Yeah, it's undeniable. You can hear some of these words. So how does that work? That's not like the odd word. That's a whole paragraph. And you can clearly hear these words. So, on Stairway to Heaven. That makes me a little bit sad. I don't know where I sit with that one. It is creepy. And Freddie Mercury, another one bites the dust. And I was thinking if there was going to be something embedded in there, it was going to be, about life being snuffed out or something. But it isn't. What it actually says is it's fun to smoke marijuana.
Oh,
I know. How cool is that? So just for a little bit of context, when you do these backmasking reverses, you do have to slow the play down as well so you can actually hear it properly. So that's something to take into account. What do you think to all that? I mean, I knew that there were things like, I think Highway to Hell and things like that, where there's expected like things embedded. And I'm not convinced that groups like Black Sabbath and AC/DC might have done a little bit of meddling to make it a bit more intriguing. I definitely wouldn't put it past Ozzy, would you? And go, good on him. That's all a bit of kudos to them, isn't it, in terms of what they do with the music industry? But there are some there that I've got to say made me think. So over to you, Karen. What conspiracy theories have you come across today?
Well, did you know that the moon is a projection?
What?
Yes, the moon is a projection and the astronauts never landed there. And aliens inhabit the moon and they're called lunarians. And that they have built sophisticated roads and bridges and forts. And this in 1820s, this Bavarian scientist said that he saw it in his telescope. He never could really prove it, but he did get a crater named after him. So that was pretty good. And then they said that the Nazis had a base camp on the moon as well. And they had a secret facility over there, and that Hitler faked his own death, and that he was living in a underground bunker on the moon. But if you're on the moon, why do you have to live underground?
There is that, yeah. I mean, some of what you've said, I've actually heard about the conspiracies with the moon landings. I'm sure there was something that was saying that they wouldn't have been able to cast shadows. It made no sense. There are some things that point to the moon landings being faked. For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe they didn't have the technology to be able to do it at the time.
Right.
As for people living on the moon, how cool is that? They can keep Hitler. Yeah, keep Hitler and take a few others. I mean, like you say, if Hitler had made it to the moon, he would have no need to go underground. I would say that that theory in particular is lunacy, Karen. But
Yes, it is lunacy. Very good. I love that.
Me too.
He just landed that.
I did. We're here all week for.
Oh my goodness. There's an old one, these theories have been around forever, since centuries, since the pyramids, right? And even the pyramids have, speculation that aliens built the pyramids. So that's a real old one there.
There's something to that, I think, as well.
Oh, I believe that too. And there's pyramids all over, even on the moon. There's pyramids that were seen on the moon.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Know that. Amazing.
Yes.
And all over the world got his own pyramid. There could be a record about that. Maybe it's embedded in a record somewhere. There's a pyramid on the moon where he lives.
You'll see a little guy with a mustache on the side.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh my goodness. There's some in Mexico too. They're all over. So, and how did these people know? Did they have math back then?
I read a thing about the pyramids being so precisely cut within millimeters that we don't have the technology nowadays, even with our lasers, to replicate it in the way that they have. And you know what? I really love Egypt. I love the Egyptian people. They're so warm and welcoming. So I don't mean any offense when I say this. But the Egyptians built pyramids. They did all these amazing things with these sculptures, and they had lots of philosophies that were very much ahead of their times. So what happened within Egypt that changed that? You would have thought that the advancement that they had to be able to use this technology would have continued, and they would be world leaders in technology by now. But it seems to have been it's regressed rather than gone forward. So interesting to know what that's about as well.
I love that. That's really interesting when you think about that, because you really did, and where they placed the pyramids too, has with the constellations, all these places where these pyramids are placed. It is in direct with correlation with the cycles of the nature and everything.
Yeah. I'd also heard that, like, the pyramids in Egypt match the ones in
Mexico.
Around there, there's pyramids as well. But basically, when all the pyramids around the world are mapped, that also forms some sort of celestial dimension.
Yes.
And I mean, there's lots of theories, if you talk to people that believe in UFOs and alien theories, that these are like hotspots for landings and guiding aliens in. I don't know. Do you wonder as well with the pyramids, where the whole burying the kings in the pyramids and the pharaohs, whether that was a cover for what they really were, rather than the actual intended purpose?
Or you could even say maybe the bodies were fuel or something too.
Oh, that's a whole different. That's slightly dark, Karen, and you're wearing white. But you just never know. No, it can't be though, can it? Because they were so well preserved.
Why?
Oh yeah, you've got me there. That's fact or fiction. There's definitely some intrigue there, isn't there?
Right, and then all the riches that they brought into the tombs, they were made of different metals, right? So the metals are conductive.
Yeah, that does make sense.
One.
Yeah, I just find Egypt fascinating. It's the most beautiful historical place.
And then let's go to another part of the world, or maybe your part. How about Queen Elizabeth I? Did you hear the rumor that she possibly was a man?
No.
Yes. And how current would that be right now? Yes, right? But actually, it was supposed to be that she was replaced by a younger man. It was said that, there was a plague back then. Well, there was a plague.
Yeah.
And so Henry,
that's not a conspiracy. That is a fact.
that's a fact. Yes. Yeah. And so he, even though he wasn't present with his children, he did care about them somewhat. And so he sent her away with her nanny or whatever they were, and her keeper. So it was Cats Ashley and Thomas Parry Neville. And then so she was 10 and she got sent away, and she avoided the plague, but she caught something else and she died. And so those two, they didn't want to get beheaded or, face the wrath of King Henry VIII. He gave them the daughter to protect, and she died. So they went searching through the village that they were in hiding, and they couldn't find a girl that was that age and, to bring back for, that looked like her or anything, but they found a boy, and the boy was a pretty boy, and he supposedly had the same kind of body almost, so they replaced the boy with yes. And so they said that this ruse went on and nobody knew, and that actually the queen was, kept those two people throughout her life close to her side.
Like ladies in waiting.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So
and that she didn't like other people dressing her and doctors examining her either.
So she obviously was quite effeminate if she were male. But it makes you wonder, those days they wouldn't have had things like waxing and whatnot. I mean, most men had beards. So it makes you wonder how she coped with, the body hair.
Well, they said that, they had, those big collars, so that would hide things, and the clothes, and then the wigs and all that makeup. So you really couldn't tell, and, with all that. And don't forget, she was the Virgin Queen.
Yeah. Wow. That is one I hadn't heard, but I'm really intrigued. I'm going to have a little look at that. And yeah, thanks for that, Karen. That'd be amazing, really.
Yeah.
If it did.
Yes, and they said, right, and she said that she didn't want an autopsy when she died either. She didn't want them to her body.
Wow.
Right.
Well, I'm shooketh. That's a good one. Thank you.
You're welcome. So this one kind of goes back to the aliens. So in Utah, there's this place called the Skinwalker's Ranch. Have you heard of that?
I have. Fascinating.
Yes, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard this. So if you have any comments or any extra details you want to comment about, let us know. Because I'm just going to go quickly over it. And they had 500 acres, and it was built bordering a UTE indigenous reservation. So that's the OTs. I am not sure. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. But so they said that there was 300 years of UFO sightings on this property. And it started back in the 1700s when the Spanish explorers told of strange crafts flying over their campfires. The 1700s. Oh my gosh. So they said by the 1970s, the police stopped filing out the reports because there were so many. There's so many, they said. And the people that owned the ranch said that they would find lights going off, outside. They would be like, what's going on? The cows, they would find cow prints in the snow, and then all of a sudden disappeared. They would find the entrails of the cows. So cattle mutilations, disappearance of the cows, and they could never find out.
That's awful.
Where'd they go? Where'd they go?
Yeah.
They're cows.
Yeah, it's not. You'd think somebody would notice if a cow was suddenly flying or something, or ran away.
Yeah. So then what's funny is that somebody else bought it, and he put this, it's called NIDS. It's the National Institution for Discovery Science.
Okay.
And so they set up camp there. They bought it from the original owners, and they set up camp there. And they said that they saw a Bigfoot sighting there as well.
So was their aim of buying it to explore all these theories then? Were they interested in the occurrences?
Yeah, they were all interested in the occurrences, but they said that they never really found anything with the cattle mutilation. So I don't know if when they bought it, all that stopped,
Yeah.
which is so fun, which is unusual because
Well,
pretty much they probably bought it.
yeah,
that.
but maybe it makes you think, if it was happening before and it wasn't being monitored, whereas these people are coming in to do experiments maybe and closely monitor the situation, maybe whoever or whatever was responsible didn't want to be viewed.
Yeah, because they know that they put the big guns in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is
Like
it.
that
It's,
fear
do you know what?
factor.
The Skinwalker Ranch is a place I never want to go to. Having
Yeah,
read some of the stories, it yeah,
yeah.
it feels a bit dark.
Mm-mm-mm. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce this. ONG uh, ONG
Uh-huh.
apostrophe S. It was a town, and then it in the 20th century it was a ghost town. It's a ghost town,
Okay.
all right. So some believe that a group of people um live there now. Is a scientist, and he moved into this town, in this ghost town, and he set up shop there. And he made this machine or whatever it's called, the egg. It's called the egg, and it allows people to travel to alternate universes. Let's visit.
Ooh.
So, and then they found this pamphlet over there, and it says, according to this pamphlet, the machine transported an entire group to a different dimension to escape police investigation. And they said there's no real evidence of this group. All through this Pine Barren, so that it became a ghost town a few times.
But the scientists are no longer there then, yeah. But they'd left information about time travel or what this egg machine that had transported them to another universe.
Yeah. So I'm not.
And is it back to being a ghost town now, or is it a tourist attraction?
I don't know. I have to find out. I just saw this. Like,
how far away from you is it?
it's probably a couple hours.
So
It's like going down the shore.
It's in the same state, but away. Don't go on your own. Go with a team of people.
Oh no.
Go with a camera.
Yes. Oh boy, where am I going to go?
Yeah. No, don't go in the egg. Do not go in the egg.
Okay. All right.
Do you wonder if they were exaggerating the story?
Possibly.
Exaggerating.
That was excellent.
Slightly extreme, I think.
You cracked me up.
I'm done. You win.
All right. So
back to me. Well, thank you for that, Karen. I'm going to talk about somebody else who within the music industry, and a really big conspiracy theory around this particular gentleman. And I'm a bit on the camp of, I might actually believe some of this. So
okay.
Shall I share?
Yes, please.
So the conspiracy theory I'm going to talk about is somebody who allegedly passed to spirit August the 16th, 1977. Any ideas?
I think I got a little clue.
Are you feeling shook up?
I'm all shook up.
Yeah, you got it. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. So the conspiracy theory, and this has been going on for a long, long time, since the 70s, is that Elvis Presley is not dead. And it's fascinating, all the different nuances that this story has. So I'm going to go with it and tell you what I know. Okay. And I really, really hope it's true. If I'm quite invested, I like a good happy ending. And I loved Elvis' music, and he brought such a lot of joy to people's lives, and his music it touched you, didn't it? So yeah. Anywho's, and I'll tell you something funny. My brother, who we met the other week on our chat, clearly August the 16th, 1977, it must have been the day after maybe, coming down our stairs at home, and my mum said to Carl, guess who's dead? And he said, my dad. And my mum said, no, Elvis Presley. And he burst out crying. He was absolutely gutted. Had it been my dad, he was kind of cool with it. How funny is that? But Elvis, no, he was absolutely shook. Anyway, so some of the key aspects that fuel this conspiracy theory are:
Yes.
Elvis was declared dead officially at the age of 42 due to heart failure, which was linked to his drug use, and that was no secret. He was hitting the drugs hard, and I think he had a lot of pressures. There's a question over the death certificate and the autopsy report, which was sealed for over 50 years. So I don't really know, other than that there's a question over it. However, there are sightings, numerous sightings over the years in various places around the United States and even abroad. So these locations are bonkers. They're very broad, anywhere from Kalamazoo, Michigan, Buenos Aires, Argentina, are just literally a few of the sightings. And I also believe he's been seen at Graceland. So there's often photographs as well showing people who actually do resemble Elvis. So what you have to remember, this isn't one conspiracy theory. This is probably quite a few dotted into one. So people have seen different people, not necessarily the same one. Witness testimonies, including some people very close to Elvis, including friends and bodyguards, have also fueled the conspiracy that Elvis was unhappy with his life and had spoken about disappearing. So there are claims from individuals who insist that they participated in arranging, faking Elvis's death. I feel like we need a mic drop there. Anyway, so the name on the tombstone of Elvis's is another thing that the conspiracies theorists cite. The stone reads Elvis Aaron Presley. Now, Aaron spelled Aaron. But in actual fact, that's a misspelling of his proper name. He was actually Elvis Aaron, Aron Presley. And that's on all of his other documentations, his birth certificate, his death certificate, marriage, everything, Aron. And yet it's misspelt on his tombstone. That seems like a really big, and I always thought it was Elvis Aaron Presley, didn't you? But allegedly not. So he did have pressures at the time, including financial pressures, and he had debts that he needed to be freed apart from, really. And I think, obviously the whole drug situation. So I do think he was in a prime position for somebody who, if they had an out, could have chosen that route, I suppose. Now, there was a book by Brewer Giorgio in the 1980s, Gail Brewer Giorgio, and she wrote a book called Is Elvis Alive? And it questioned many of the official accounts compiled. And she claimed that there was indeed evidence that Elvis faked his own death. So, yeah, and that also brought this theory to the public arena. Anyway, taken on December the 31st, 1977, so some 3 months after Elvis had died, 4 months, there's a pool house photo which allegedly shows Elvis peering through the doorway. And it was published in a fan book, a fan club for Elvis, and believed to be proof that he was still alive after his funeral. And despite these claims and evidences and overwhelming consensus among historians and biographers, they still believe that Elvis did indeed die in 1977. So there's two camps. There's a one that definitely kind of want him to be alive, but have got this evidence. And then you've got these people that say, absolutely, he died, and that's the end of it. Now, the bit that's actually got me, blown away is the theory. Not only did Elvis not die, but he reinvented himself as a pastor named Pastor Bob Joyce, who's a singing minister from Arkansas. Conspiracy theorists can claim that he's assumed this new identity, but I have to say, my goodness, I've watched numerous videos with this pastor, and I have to say, I'm a bit of the camp. It's cast a lot of doubt towards me over this theory. He does resemble some Elvis features, but in close scrutiny, there's you know, it's not obvious. Having said that, I would imagine he could have had some sort of surgery. If you're going to be able to, you know, step out of that life, you're going to have an A game, a plan, aren't you? But this minister has his exact same vocal tone. If you listen to this minister singing and you listen to Elvis and you close your eyes, you cannot tell the difference. I watched a video where they were both simultaneously singing, and there was 2 photographs, and they basically put the photograph up of the person who was singing at the time, and if you closed your eyes and then opened them again, you couldn't tell the difference. And then they superimposed the vocal tones just about onto top of each other, exactly the same, even down to the guy's laugh. He's got the same scarring on his hands. He's got the same broken pinky finger that Elvis had. There's so much, same height and stature, and he's often dropped lyrical hints, even though he does entirely refute that he is Elvis Presley. This pastor says he isn't. And he claims to be a lot younger. There's a good 15 years, maybe more, age gap. But again, that's tenuous. He's an older guy, you know, it's hard to tell, isn't it? There are actresses now in the 90s that look amazing, so who knows? But this guy does sing some Elvis songs during his sermons. You know, it has been recorded singing. I mean, it's just, he's so near, but again, he's fervent that it's not him. But if it were Elvis, he's not going to come out and say, I did this, because he's never going to be able to live a settled life anymore. It's bad enough now that people already think that it's a possibility, and it was a mere fluke that somebody had come across him, and he'd been recorded, I think, singing like Elvis, and that was it. This blew up. Otherwise, he could have been living quite a quiet life in Arkansas as this this minister. I'd urge anybody who's interested in this, take a look. This is one I think might be more than a conspiracy theory. What are your thoughts, Karen?
Oh, I have a few. One when they saw the ghost, like the window, him in the window after he died. I wonder if that was just like that residual energy of him.
Yeah,
right.
That's possible.
Could be the residual energy. And then with this new guy over here, I could see him definitely being a minister, a preacher, definitely Elvis, because he loved all that kind of energy and song, because he could get to sing, being a minister, and get to preach. But then I'm thinking, is this like maybe? No, I was thinking like a doppelganger, or what do you call that?
You're thinking of twin flame?
That's it.
Yeah, twin flame.
Twin flame.
This is the one that I've seen that I could think, you know, when you look at something and you think, okay, everything that is being presented, you could actually say this could potentially happen. The guy had the money that he could have had surgery. He could have bought the silence of people around him. He could have had a place in plan. I think he was Baptist, wasn't he? His mom and that were from that religious background. So it's very possible. But the guy still had an ego, and this minister has this ego, this joie de vivre about him. And yeah, for me, there's a lot that seems plausible. I'd urge you to look at all the information that's out there, because if nothing else, it's a few hours well spent looking at these stories and these videos and these photographs, because it's got me firmly sitting in the camp of, I think Elvis faked his own death. And I think my brother will be very happy. But you know what? I'm not going to go spouting the theory and making everyone else believe it. Now, I think if he has faked his own death and he wanted a quiet life, good luck to him. He's living, an honest existence where he's harming nobody. Yeah, good luck to him. But the other thing, the one thing I did see as well is allegedly, so this Pastor Bob Joyce, his wife, who I think recently has passed away, there is a claim that she was one of Elvis's old girlfriends from back in the day.
Oh,
So, yeah. And that's what I mean.
Yes.
Every layer of this story has another layer. It's like a really big Elvis-sized onion.
doppelganger.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you see, I don't even think that. I honestly think he's just put the brakes on his life and chose another route. That's my thought. But, you know, I don't know. That the other part of me thinks, well, he had children, and would he have just walked away? Who knows?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people want to think that he's still alive.
Yeah, yeah. He'd be sad. Oh, he'd be crying in the chapel. And I mean, also something I've just thought of is a lot of his songs were quite like that religious route, and it makes you wonder because if this wasn't a theory, if this was true, he could have been planning this for some years. You know, it wouldn't be an overnight thing, would it? And it would have taken quite a lot of planning. So maybe it would have eaten. Maybe there are clues in Elvis's records.
Oh, get that turntable out.
Maybe we need to backmask and look at Elvis Presley's records in reverse. Oh, Karen, the plot thickens. Well, I've really enjoyed doing this. I've enjoyed this episode. What are your thoughts?
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. And if anybody else has any conspiracies that they want to, comment below, just let us know.
Yeah, let's get this conversation started.
Yes.
And don't let this be the end of the whole Elvis debate. I feel like it's got more legs. We need to take a look at this Elvis one in depth. Paul McCartney, however, I think it's tenuous at best. But if he is a doppelganger, good on him. He's definitely living a good life and made a small fortune, or a very large fortune from it. So good for him. Anyway, for now, this has been Two Mediums,
One large universe.
and we look forward to seeing you on the other side. And don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Bye.
Thank you.